Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial video here at tylerduprey.com. Today we're going to be building an HTML logo using a background gradient. So this is just a fun and quick way to spin up a logo for your projects. I find that when you're rapidly developing a project, I think it's fun to create an HTML logo and design it with CSS. For long-term projects, for larger projects, you would want to design an SVG logo, probably something that you can reuse and make sure that it's consistent across all platforms. But I just find that this is, again, just a fun way to spin up a logo really quick. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'm on CodePen here. If you guys don't have a CodePen account, you can create a free account at codepen.io and create a new pen here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a container div that's going to hold all of my code here, and it's just going to help display the logo prominently for the purposes of this demonstration. So I'm going to give it the class PageWrap. I'm going to come here into my CSS, and first thing I'm going to do is make sure there's no extra margin on the body. I'm also going to make sure there's no extra padding on the body. Then I'll come in here and I'll grab the page wrap, and for the page wrap we want to make sure that it's taking up 100% of the height and width of the page, and so it is a block level element, so it should be 100% of the width. So let's give it a height of 100 viewport height, and let's go ahead and make sure that everything inside of this page wrap is centered on the page. Again, this is just for the purposes of this demo. So the first thing I'm going to do is make it a flexbox container by saying display flex. Then we're going to want to justify content to the center, and then we'll want to align items to the center. And so this is going to center it on the vertical and horizontal axis. And yeah, so everything inside of this page wrap should be centered at this point. But we don't have anything inside of it, so let's go ahead and create a container that's going to hold our logo and tagline. I'm going to give it the class logo container. And that's just going to help contain both our logo and tagline, so that the flexbox styles that we put on page wrap will hold all of this content in the center together. So next I'm going to create an H1, and I'm going to put in my logo text, which for me is tylerduprey.com. As you can see, that's nicely centered in the middle there. So let's add the tagline as well, and for me that's going to be free web development tutorials. Close that. And I'm going to want to link to my website from the logo. So let's go ahead and add a link in here for my website. And we'll close that. Okay, let's put a class on this link so that we can style it. And I'm going to give the class logo. We're also going to want to give the H2 a class. Let's go ahead and give that the class tagline. All right, let's come down here and let's grab the logo first. Start designing our logo. For the purposes of the demo, let's just make it 3 rem. You'll want to style it however you need inside of your project. For now, we'll just do a font family of sans serif. And then let's do a text decoration of none. And eventually this is going to be a gradient, but for now we want kind of a fallback color. And so I'm going to give it the text color of a pre-planned text color here that I have. You can make it any color you want. I'm going to use that color. And then I want it to all be uppercase. I just like the look of that. So I'm going to do text transform uppercase. Uppercase letters are harder for users to read, so you only want to do it for special headlines and logos like this, you don't want to use this text transform uppercase too much. All right, so let's start working on the gradient. I'm going to give myself a little bit more room over here. And we're going to say background, and we're going to need to use WebKit for this. I'm going to give it a linear gradient, and I'm going to say from left, I'm going to give it a color here that I've pre-selected. Give it any color you want. And I'm going to use this color again. And so as you can see, and then here, let's just finish this first. So I want it to break at about 50%. There we go. So we have a nice gradient here, which again, that's nice, but not quite what we're looking for. What we want is we want this gradient to apply only to the letters and not to the background of the block around the letters. And so what we'll need to do, again, we're going to use WebKit, and we're going to say background clip. So we want to clip the background to the text, right? So background clip text. Now what's happening here is we've actually applied the linear gradient to our text, but we can't see it because our background or our text color is more prominent, and I guess on the Z index it's closer to us, and so it's actually covering up the gradient behind it. And so what we need to do, again, we're going to use WebKit here, and we're going to say text fill color, which is this color here. We're going to want to make that transparent. And there you go. The text fill color is gone, and I don't know how well you can see it, but there's actually a nice little gradient here. And you can adjust where the gradient goes here. You know, that's going to adjust where the gradient breaks from one color to the other. So you can play around with that percentage. The other thing you can do is you can play around with this so as it goes the other way. And so the other thing you can do is you can make it a radial gradient if you wanted to. And so I'll link to gradients. I'll link to more on gradients under this video on tylerduprey.com, and you can find some links there to learn more about gradients. But you know, I like the way this looks. Now I want to create a nice font here. This is kind of a boring font, and for a logo it's really not that interesting. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to import a Google font. Maybe I'll do a video on Google Fonts sometime. That might be useful. But for now, I've actually just saved a Google font import. So you guys can actually copy this. And I'm talking about Google, so my pixel's trying to listen in. Nothing like being spied on constantly by technology. Anyway, so I used an import here. And you can go ahead and pause the video and copy this, or go to fonts.google.com. Actually, it'll just be fonts.google.com, and you can find your own fonts there. Right here, I've imported Fredoka 1, I guess is how you would pronounce that, and then Open Sans. Those are the two fonts I'm going to use. So I probably didn't need all of these different font weights, but oh well. Let's go ahead and add Fredoka 1 to this font stack. And there you go. I just like the way that looks. Kind of fun. Okay, so that's actually it for my logo. I think it looks really nice. Let's design our tagline next. Let's do for the purposes of the demo, we'll just do a font size of 1.5 rem. Let's text align center with this, so it's centered underneath the logo. I like the way that looks. And then let's give it a font of Open Sans. Again, this is the Google font that we imported at the top of the spreadsheet. And we'll give a fallback of sans serif. And then for the color, I'm just going to give it an all black color here, dark gray. There you go. So I really like the way that looks. Just from a design perspective, we made this a gray color because we want the logo to take prominence and we want that to catch the user's attention, and we want the tagline to be secondary. And so that's just a good thing to remember. I always I use this color a lot actually on my text on a website because you want headlines and images to stand out first, and then you want your text to kind of be supplementary material. And so that's just a good design tip. Let's see. Okay, so that was a really simple project. Again, I have links down below to some more information on text gradients and gradients in general. Hopefully you enjoyed this project, and I'm going to keep posting tutorials, so keep watching and let me know if there's any other tutorial you'd like to see. Give me feedback on existing tutorials, and other than that, happy developing.